Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday morning, March the 26th. We're nearing the end of the month of March, and we still have some cold air masses here that will affect the Great Lakes and Northeast U.S. over the next few weeks. We have some chilly air in place right now, as a matter of fact, and some snow shower activity just downstream of the Great Lakes, even into the southeastern part of Pennsylvania. There could be a rain or snow shower over the next couple of hours as a frontal system comes on through. Quite cool for the next couple of days in the northeastern part of the nation, but a big time warm-up looks like it's coming this weekend to places like DC, where they can top out at 80 degrees on Saturday afternoon, and Philly and even New York City should get in on some of that very warm air during the upcoming weekend. I was a little bit concerned, still am a little bit concerned about the possibility of a backdoor cool front that could kind of squash that warm-up, especially up across New York City this weekend. However, we'll kind of go through some of the reasoning why I think that is much less of a chance now, and that warmer air surge to the north and east should make its way all the way into New York City during the upcoming weekend. Now, out in the middle of the country, there'll be a strong storm system by the time we get to Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. We'll have to watch for accumulating snow in its cold sector in the northwest, and the potential for some severe weather in the nation's midsection latter part of the upcoming weekend. Here's a current look at the radar, and again, we have some cold air still all across the northern plains, Great Lakes, Mid-Atlantic region, and all this blue represents some snow falling. Even down here in southeastern Pennsylvania, there's a little band coming through right now, southeastern part of PA. Rain or snow, kind of a mix here, and certainly just downstream of the Great Lakes there's plenty of snow shower activity as we begin the day here on Wednesday. Even some snow falling up across the North Dakota region, the northern plains, into the southwestern part of Canada. There's a band of rain and maybe an isolated rumble of thunder or two down across the south central states here at the beginning of the day on Wednesday. Well, let's take a walk through last night's 0Z run of the GFS. It's the conventional version of the GFS, and there is, in fact, quite a strong upper level low right over the northeastern part of the nation. And again, some very chilly air this morning, extending from the mid-Atlantic, northeast U.S. all the way westward across the Great Lakes into the northern plains. Meanwhile, out west, strong high-pressure ridging centered over the Rocky Mountain states. Now let's move forward and see the players on the field as we go through the next few days. This system moves on to the north and east. It stays cool again, both today and on Thursday in the mid-Atlantic, in the northeast U.S. But then we see this ridge that is currently focused out over the western U.S. sliding to the east here. A big warm-up by Thursday and Friday in the middle part of the nation, and that warm surge of air pushes into the mid-Atlantic region by the time we get to the upcoming weekend. It looks like, again, Saturday afternoon could see temperatures near 80 degrees in places like DC, and probably well up in the 70s across Philly and New York City. And then we push forward here, kind of a progressive pattern, meaning things continue to move relatively quickly from west to east here. So this ridge slides off the eastern seaboard by the time we get to the early part of next week. And this is a pretty healthy looking upper level low here on some of the model forecasts, not so much on the GFS, but I think this will turn out to be a little bit stronger than depicted here. And that has some colder air with it, and it kind of slides into the eastern states by the time we get to around Tuesday of next week, and tends to slow down and could have enough cold air for some snow in the cold sector of this system. Again, we're talking about Tuesday or Wednesday of next week in the interior section of the northeastern states. We'll continue to monitor that over the next few days here. And then ridging right behind it and farther to the west, yet another cold system moving in off the Pacific Ocean into the western part of the U.S. This is, again, during the middle or latter part of next week. So still a pretty active weather pattern here. Again, middle latter part of next week, we have a couple of different upper level lows, and kind of sandwiched in between strong upper level ridge. In other words, quite an active weather pattern here going forward through much of next week as well as this week. Now let's take a look at the 850 millibar temperature anomalies, and again, colder than normal conditions here in the Mid-Atlantic, in the Great Lakes, Northeast U.S. We've seen the radar, quite a bit of snow shower activity just downstream of those Great Lakes as we begin the day here on Wednesday. Now let's move forward, and again we have still kind of an active weather pattern, one in which it's pretty progressive. Things are moving from west to east, so we'll have these cold surges, especially over the Great Lakes, Northeast U.S., followed by a warm surge, and then cold surge behind that, at least for the next few weeks or so. Here we go. Again, quite cool for the next couple of days across the northeastern states, but a big-time warm-up gets fully underway by the time we get to the end of the work week here. This is the Friday morning forecast map, way above normal temperatures up across the Dakotas, for example, throughout the northern plains. And then that warm surge works its way into the Mid-Atlantic region. Again, very, very warm conditions likely on Saturday. Places like D.C., I believe, by the way, the cherry blossoms will be fully opened up by the time we get to Friday or Saturday. And again, 80 degrees possible on Saturday in D.C., well up in the 70s across Philadelphia. Notice a lot of cold air still exists this weekend up across Canada here, and some of that slides south and east into the middle part of the nation. And again, let's back up a little bit. This is the Sunday evening forecast map. Talked about the possibility of severe weather on Sunday, maybe some snow in the cold sector to the north and west of a surface low. We'll see that in a moment here. But your typical battle zone region, your clash region here, setting up with that cold, dry air to the west, the warm, humid air to the east, and watch out for the possibility of some severe weather later Sunday into Sunday evening. Now, let's continue to move forward in time here, and here we go into the day on Monday. Again, kind of a topsy-turvy temperature pattern with some cold surges followed by warm surges and cold surges again. And here's another chilly air mass working its way into the eastern states next Tuesday into Wednesday. This is a week from right now, next Wednesday, April the 2nd. Well, let's wrap up with the surface forecast maps, again using the 0Z run of the GFS. Again, some blue showing up here on the maps here, even though we're nearly at the end of March here. Some snow shower activity just downstream of the Great Lakes, and again, a little bit of a band moving through southeastern PA as we speak with rain or snow or some kind of a mix here. And it stays quite cool over the next couple of days in the northeastern states, but you can already see out in the middle part of the nation by early tomorrow. We have this flow of air south to north here on the backside of that high pressure system. Again, winds flow clockwise around high, so that'll push some very mild air up northward into the middle part of the nation on Thursday, and that warming trend out there continues into the day on Friday and then works its way to the east. Here we are late Friday evening time frame, and what we see here is a warm frontal system causing some shower activity in the Mid-Atlantic region. Way up to the north, up across upstate New York, could be cold enough for some snow, and certainly near the Great Lakes there'll be some ice and snow with this system. Again, this is basically a warm frontal system located right in here, moving in this direction on Friday night. So watch out for some showers, D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, as that warm front slides up to the north and east. A good push of air here from the south central U.S. all the way into the Ohio Valley. And again, that warm air surge makes its way into the Mid-Atlantic region on Saturday. Here we go on late Friday night into Saturday morning. Now, earlier in the week I was kind of concerned about a backdoor cool front coming from the northeast to the southwest in the Mid-Atlantic region and putting an end to any potential warm-up. This tells me that that's a far less chance than I may have believed a couple of days ago. The fact that we have this kind of a flow here, this is a pretty impressive flow of air. In this particular case, it'll be from the west to the east, so that kind of negates any kind of an ocean flow in this area. In other words, watch for a big-time warm-up in the Mid-Atlantic region on Saturday. Again, 80 degrees possible in the D.C. metro region, 70s Philly and New York City. Then we go into the latter part of the upcoming weekend, and we talked about the potential out in the middle of the nation. Here we go by midday on Sunday. Kind of a pattern we've seen in this active weather pattern here during the past few weeks, where we have this cold, dry intrusion of air from Canada into the western and central states. At the same time, we have some warm and humid air being pumped up from the Gulf into the Ohio Valley. This sets the stage for some potential severe weather in the warm sector of this system later Sunday night, and also some accumulating snow in the northwest side, the cold sector of this particular storm system. So it'll be a very active day on Sunday, especially out across the middle of the nation. And that extends, that activity extends to the Mississippi Valley region, ultimately the Ohio Valley. Meanwhile, way up across northern New England, again with that still colder than normal air up across the northeastern states here, we could have some snow and ice during the latter part of the upcoming weekend, primarily Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine we're talking about here. And then we go into the early part of next week. Here we go now on Monday, and that system cannot push too far to the north and east, because there is a strong high pressure system here. We can see at the surface a 1038 millibar high on Monday over south central Canada, and there's some strong upper level ridging. So this movement to the north and east of this low pressure area kind of grinds to a halt and pretty much hangs around the mid-Atlantic region for a couple of days, early to middle part of next week. And we'll move forward in time here, and we'll see it really cannot push to the north because of this block in the atmosphere over the Hudson Bay region of Canada. This is now next Monday night time frame. So in this particular model run of the GFS, kind of gets quite interesting here with this kind of stalling out system here, and colder air continuing to slowly filter in from the north and west to the south and east. By the time we get to Tuesday or so, we can see some snow in the interior sections, especially of the mid-Atlantic region. Now, let me add that the GFS is kind of an outlier here. The other models tend not to have this kind of a residual effect into Tuesday of next week. We'll just have to monitor this as we go through the next few days here. But again, there will be slow movement of that low pressure system here because of a strong block over the southeastern part of Canada. Move forward in time here, and by the time we get to a week from right now, this is next Wednesday, whatever system remains in the east finally kicks off the coast here by the middle part of next week, and we kind of repeat the activity with cold air over the Great Lakes and an influx of warmer, more humid air up across the Mississippi Valley region. Could be setting up for another kind of a battle zone region in the middle of the nation by the middle part of next week. So the active weather pattern continues with still some plenty of cold air around, especially across the Great Lakes, Mid-Atlantic, Northeast U.S., and there will also be some very warm surges of air into those parts of the nation. Again, a big time warm up possible this weekend in places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. By the way, one final note. Tomorrow's opening day for baseball. Should be quite nice weather in Washington, D.C. for the home opener of the Nationals against the Phillies Thursday afternoon. Probably highs around 60 with plenty of sun. Cool and dry in New York City for the Yankees home opener on Thursday afternoon. Probably highs in New York City tomorrow only in the low to mid 50s, so quite cool but dry with some sunshine in New York City. So two home openers in the Mid-Atlantic region and plenty others out there on Thursday as Big League Baseball gets underway tomorrow. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.